It's pretty bad when we start laughing before we even start recording. It's gonna be a good one.
They know something's coming up.
Something's coming. Uh oh. Dun, 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 dun. Oh
Lord.
man. You know, um, you know, we we get these misconceptions sometimes. I think of how life's supposed to go and the life of a believer, and we fully, completely mischaracterize it. Not to go into what we were talking to before, but because we had a conversation pre-recording that you shall not be a part of because you're not allowed. Those that are listening, uh, um,
We shall speak nothing.
we shall say nothing. No, but it brought up a good thought, and we were kind of kicking around what we should talk about, and we're gonna delve into John 17 since we're in the book of John. I hate turning pages, so we're just gonna go over a couple pages from John 9 and pick up on John 17. Um, that's a height of laziness, isn't
Yeah, that's a loaded cannon.
it? Yeah. So John 17 is one of the I don't say favorite chapters. It is a favorite chapter, but when someone says what's your most favorite passage in the Bible, I struggle with even giving them a. There's so many places I just love and can camp
Yeah.
out in and wallow around in. Um, yeah, fun stuff. That's what I'm. Yeah, that probably you're gonna probably hate it when I retire because you're gonna be like, look, dude, I got more things to do than just make YouTube videos, okay? Because I'm gonna have so much time to do stuff. I'll be like, I'll be like trying to get every passage that I like, every passage that I love, every study that I love, getting that on recording.
It'd be texting at 10 o'clock. Hey, you good for in the morning? God, we just met
God,
yesterday, Bill. I can't get
dog,
back up and do this
I
again.
can't take you. But John 17 is fantastic. If it has a lot of really cool things in it. It's got you know disciple making. It's got a lot of God's passion, Jesus' passion. Uh, God, I mean, what hit strikes you about that chapter, uh, just generally?
I mean, usually on the surface for me, it's like the true Lord's Prayer.
Yeah,
Just in reference, going back to our Father who art in heaven, Matthew 6, um, and just on the surface, and I think some people, I think it's called the high
yeah,
priestly prayer.
mm-hmm.
Um, but I, for me, it's it just in a general sense, it's like, man, I as a follower of Christ was on his mind
Mm.
then. Like
Yeah,
he was seeing me through the work that he had done in and through his guys,
right.
and that just makes it intentional. It makes it intimate. So like when I've taught this, when I went through this, it really to me is probably one of the most intimate times Jesus had, and the
Mm-hmm.
Lord, the Last Supper, but a very intimate time with the Father and with his disciples right here. And I guess you could, I mean, even with us,
Yeah,
I just it's what my initial thoughts are.
I like
And
it.
like you said, man, the thread runs deep through 17.
Oh man,
I mean, the thread it's long. You can pull and pull and pull and pull, and you won't come to the end of this.
yeah, it's a intricate tapestry for sure. But we got before we jump into 17, we need to set it up. Um, so if you sorry, if you go back to um, the was it the end? Um, where is it? In 14. Um, but if you go back a few chapters, what you run into is the Last Supper, what you just referenced, right?
Yeah.
Right. So he's at the Last Supper. They're washing the feet. Judas goes out to betray him, um, and then he gets into 14, and at the end of 14, the very last verse, he said, "Arise, let us go from here." Okay, so 13, 14, that's the upper room. Um, that's that whole scene. But then when you get to 15 and 16, this is their walk from the upper room down to, we know it's going to be at the Kidron Valley because the verse just before, um, let's see, what was it? Oh, not in 16. It's in 18. Um, it says he stopped talking and they went across the ravine. So he stopped just before the ravine, which is called the Kidron Valley. If you're familiar with Jerusalem, how it's laid out, and then I wish I got a map, but it wouldn't work. Um, and we're not high tech enough, and I don't have enough. I don't edit enough to to put
Yeah.
it in. But if you look at, just look it up. I'll give you an assignment. Look it up and see where the upper room supposedly was, which would be more, if you're looking straight down on Jerusalem, it'd be more to the left, kind of in the center, left center of the city over to the edge, and the Kidron Valley is all the way to the right in the kind of the same parallel, but anyway, or same line, where they would walk through. They were just weaving their way through the city from 16 to 15. He's just talking to them as they're going. They're talking, and so when you read 15 and 16, you have to read it as like if you were doing a hike and you were just talking to your friends as you were talking, and just talking about maybe a deep subject or intricate subject or a tender subject or personal subject, and that's what Jesus is doing. You can almost get this. Um, it's almost like he's trying to get as much in as he can last minute. It's because 15 and 16 is just packed. It's just packed full of just incredible truths, like the fruit, the laying your life down for your friends, um, the disciples' relationship to the world, is headed there. Um, and then he starts warning him in 16, promises, and then he starts telling about his death, resurrection, and then he gives them a promise, um, before he starts getting into the next chapter. Um, it's just a really interesting flavor of Jesus's personality. Have you ever looked at that like that?
Just in the kind of looking those, walking through those chronologically.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever looked at? I mean, just thinking about 15 and 16. I know you've walked through that chronologically, but I'm
Yeah.
saying looking at 15 and 16, and what kind of impression do you get? Or I mean, am I reading? Am I reading too much into it? I mean,
No, I mean I'm looking back, and of course I think I've got I've got the power sword, and
yeah,
those topical labels
mm-hmm,
are very helpful
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah,
And if you like just looking at the topical labels, no matter what kind of Bible the person that might be watching us would use, a
Mhm.
good Bible would have some
Right.
just high points. And if you think about, I mean, going all the way back to 15 and looking just at those first 11 verses of chapter 15, that Jesus again is explaining to his disciples who they are, what they
Mhm.
are, what their capability will be, as if I mean, he sees them as it's kind of goes back to the John 1:42 theme with you are Simon son of Jonah, you
Mhm.
will be Peter. It's a very similar it's a very similar connection here
Mhm.
between these two, between just like what, okay, well, obviously all these fools are about to tuck tail and run. so
Right.
how good of a so how good of a job did Jesus do would be a statement an outsider would make, like,
Yeah.
well, I mean, look at what happened after he's dropping these truth bombs, and he's
Right.
he's spending this time of intimacy, and then it's like, okay, well, this is who you are, this is what I've asked you to do, abide, 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 and the
Uh-huh.
abiding's to produce, and you can't produce if you don't abide, and in the abiding the production comes. Fruit is what I've left you here to bear fruit, basically.
Mhm.
It's I have poured into you so that you will bear fruit to the world that I poured into you. And then he's like, you got to treat each other right. It's just about loving. And
Mhm.
then like you just kind of walk through it, then it's like your relationship to the world. And again, the word hate comes up in 15, and I need to look to see if that word continues to show up in 16, but
Mhm.
it does seem like it because he foretells his death, and basically the epitome of the world hating him is that he will be crucified. But again, the end of 16 is the greatest promise
Mhm.
of the New Testament that we have with, um, just that in me you may have peace, in the world you will have tribulation, but take courage, I've overcome the world. I mean, you can't get a more powerful statement as a disciple than that. And then it's kind of like, okay, so this is what you've been called to be and do toward others. And now the I guess the priestly prayer would be, him sealing it with a prayer.
Mhm.
I mean, the just the and like you said, man, the the disciple making theory is birthed in those chapters.
Oh yeah. Well, um, you sparked a thought in my brain, and but in 1629 he says his disciples are like, "Lo, now you are speaking plainly, not using figure of speech." He's like, "Dude, you're just laying it on the line." I mean, it's just like Jesus drops every teaching tactic, you know. They it's like they could tell when a lesson was coming when Jesus was trying to, you know, teach them something, and now it's like, look, dude, you're just speaking. You're not. There's no. We don't have to figure nothing out. I mean, you're just like
Yeah.
laying it on the line, and but Jesus has to know at this point. He must know that he's going to be alone, and these yahoos, these knuckleheads are going to leave. But yet he still gives them all this truth,
Mhm.
even though they're going to leave. That that right there is huge, because a lot of times we won't impart truth into somebody unless we think they're going to turn out. But would
Yeah.
you still impart truth to somebody knowing they're not going to turn out, knowing they're going to run, knowing they're going to quit? Man,
Mm.
man,
Well, and I would say it sounds like Jesus had quite a bit of faith in the Spirit and the Word doing the work.
right? Yeah. Well, he
and
knew
where
ultimately they
where
would not. Huh?
yeah, I'm just thinking about how easily it is to fall prey to that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to not trust that it's not in your ability to say it right.
Yeah.
It's not in their ability to do it right. It's in what God has ordained to change the sight
Right.
and the hearing of people, which is, man, it's the word, um, through the spirit. And like you as hard as you want to try to say it right, do it right, and make sure they get it right,
Mm-hmm.
how much more right could he have, like, who could have said it any better, who could have done any better than what Jesus does in
Yeah.
these last 5 chapters?
Right. But it gives you that principle of just because you don't see it transpiring right now doesn't mean it's not ever going to.
Right. Yeah.
So you can't discriminate when God gives you the opportunity to speak truth or to teach or to invest in somebody. So if you get to the point where you're like, well, I don't know if it's going to pan out with him, I kind of feel like I'm going to waste my time. You're not wasting your time.
Yeah.
Even if they don't pan out from our perspective, it doesn't mean it was a waste. Your duty, your calling, your responsibility is to make disciples. Okay, your responsibility is not to make disciples do what they should, because a true disciple will do what he's supposed to do because that's what he is, or that's what they are, right? So, but we try to tweak it, dial it in. I'm not saying that you shouldn't study or prepare or do all that. I mean, yeah, obviously, because you want to say it as best you can. But don't think you can't say it because I don't have it all polished.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, don't
And
that.
don't yeah, don't think you cannot yeah. So the going back to the performance of the speaker is not what God is necessarily after,
That's right.
although to say it precisely, to say it clearly, to say it accurately is a big deal. It's important,
Mm-hmm.
right? But yet, going, I think when we talked about this last week with the, um because I remember you saying something about, I think it was Baal and the donkey,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
speaking donkey, and you had mentioned something about, I don't know if it was about being young, or it was in reference to the young blind guy
uh-huh.
giving the sermon,
Yeah,
remember? And it was just the experience was a big deal, like the for this blind young guy to say what he said to those religious
right.
people. It was like it wasn't a spectacular mic drop moment, but what he said, God honored that. Like, God used that.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know. I mean, we're trying to get to the prayer, but I don't. I mean, you think about it. If Jesus knew all that, like you
Mm-hmm.
just referenced, I think he knew already.
Mm-hmm.
Then how many of us would waste our time praying for something that we knew was gonna fail, if our mentality was like that of the world, which
Mm-hmm.
is, well, if it doesn't work, why am I wasting my time with it?
Right.
Well, just throw it out.
Right.
But Jesus knew that what he had instilled, what he had shown, what he had done for those men would ultimately come back to. He had to trust the process. There you go. That's the phrase. He had to trust the process.
Right. Because what transforms people is not your delivery, not your personality, not your uh, your presentation. It is the truth. That's what transforms people. And you can say it wonky and stumbling and bumbling and but it's the truth. And if somebody can say it better, fantastic. Doesn't mean you shouldn't stop. That you should stop saying it. You need to keep saying it. You know what I'm saying? Uh, we need to get used to not being perfect and making some
Yeah,
mistakes. Sometimes the mistakes is what you need to make in order to make it happen the way
that's
it's
right.
supposed to. So anyway, you
Yeah,
can't. And I've said it a bunch, and people probably tired of hearing it. But you can't lose in this. If you're going with the right purpose and the right motivation and the right direction, and I'm going to make disciples to the ends of the earth, to the end of time. Trust me, it will work because you're going to do things that's going to be going in the right direction. But if you're
well,
trying to,
I mean, go ahead. What?
I was just
But
going to
if
say,
you're
if you
trying
if
to,
you're trying to build your own kingdom, it ain't going to work.
and like going back to the the abide, right?
Hmm.
Like the abiding of the intention of what Jesus is telling his disciples. And I mean, again, you you can't abide constantly. I mean, there's always a I mean, I don't know. The idea of abiding is, to me, is not that you have to consistently abide. The idea of abiding is that the standard is there.
Hmm.
Like Jesus set the standard. Abide in me, and this is what will
Right.
happen, right? And again, like you said, when we go our own way, which is away from His kingdom, which is His kingdom is God first and others,
Hmm.
right? Just a simple way to understand His kingdom. And then when we go this way, there's the invitation is always wide open,
Hmm.
that we can always come back, right? We can always come back. But the goal of abiding is not how well are you doing today in your abiding. The goal of abiding is that's the only way you can produce lasting fruit, fruit that remains,
Right.
right? And for Jesus, what was the fruit that would remain? And I think that's what we're getting ready to talk about.
Right. Well, and I think the probably the big debate is around the word abide. What does it look like?
Yes.
What does that look like? Well, what if I change that word to rest? That
I think that would be an easy thing to do.
well, can you rest in what who Jesus is in the process of what he's doing and still be a knucklehead at times? Yeah.
Yep.
Make
We've proven that.
mistakes at times. Do the wrong thing at times. Maybe commit a sin at times. I I,
Yeah.
I get tickled at us. I include myself. Okay, so I'm not
Yeah.
pointing fingers at anybody else, but I get tickled at us because
I
we
don't feel like I'm the only one you're talking about now.
yeah
That's good.
yeah is we we think we can live this holy life. We think we can do it. I think it's funny. We think we can be really good people. We think we can be. We can walk 2 steps without sinning. We think that.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
can go a day without sinning. And and I'm not trying to discourage anybody, but I'm trying to set you free from yourself. Cut it out. That's not what this is about. If it was about you being clean and keeping yourself clean, why in the world would he make you clean if you
Yeah.
could do it?
You're already. Yeah. And he said you're already. There's some of
Oh,
you that it goes back to the foot washing in 13.
yeah. The big bath and their local rinsing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like Jesus knew. I mean, what if the reason that those disciples all went away was because that they realized they couldn't do what he was asking them to do. Like they were in their own power. They were in their own um yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Look at Peter. How many times did he step up and say, "Yeah, man, I got this. I got this." Only to realize he didn't have a single ounce of it.
Yeah, I got
And
this, Jesus. Wham! Ow!
yeah, yeah. And Jesus and it's like, okay, well, somewhere along the way, Peter had to ask the question, where am I missing this?
Mm.
Like where am I missing this this standard of this rabbi that's radical and radically different? What like because going back to the disciple making thing, but going back to the just him choosing them, which he states that in which text is that where he
15.
says, "You didn't choose me, but I
Yeah,
chose you."
and that's a middle voice verb. That's huge.
Yeah.
And everybody's going, gee, you look really excited about a middle voice verb. But just to
So why
remind,
don't you explain the middle voice verb,
well,
Bill?
well, thank you. I shall. Um, I, but just real quick to remind those that most of the people that's listening to this are people that may know about this. But a middle voice verb basically it travels. A verb will travel in three different tenses: active, passive, and then middle. And so a middle is has active and passive qualities to it. So an active verb is I ran. Passive verb I was run over. It's very passive. You're not going to sign up for that. But a middle voice verb uses both. It uses the active and passive at the same time. And the best analogy that describes this is when you're choosing teams and you're picking players for your team. You pick them, that's an action. You pick them, that's active. But you're picking them as passive on them. But the middle voice incorporates both and says, I pick you for me. I pick you for myself because I want to win the game. So the middle voice uses both of those. I hope that quick explanation uh,
Yeah.
makes it clear. So when Jesus says, "You did not choose," that word "choose," you did not choose me, I chose you. Those "choose" are middle voice verbs. So you didn't choose me. You didn't. You did not choose me for yourself. I chose you for myself.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you chose
Which is a
me.
big deal.
Yeah, you chose me for your benefit. But I got news for you. I chose you for mine. See, now that changes
Yeah.
it because that's most believers, right? Why did they choose Jesus? Because I don't want to become a burnt marshmallow.
Constantly burnt marshmallow.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
reoccurring, everlasting burnt marshmallow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Well, is that a bad motivation? Is avoiding hell a bad motivation for coming to Jesus? No, no, no. It's okay. Pain's a great motivator. It is a
Yeah.
fantastic motivator. So you coming to Jesus in that direction is okay. He's okay with that. But he knows you're not going to stay there because he wants a relationship with you. He doesn't want you to just come to him and out of fear. But some people, well, they'll live their entire Christian life or believer's life as out of fear. Okay?
And they will live like they're in hell
Yes.
their whole life as a Christian, which
Yes.
is just an absolute oxymoron of oxymorons.
And every time something happens to them, it's like, oh, I didn't please you, and now you're mad at me. Oh, okay. Or the other side is, oh, I walk, and this is, oh, uh, I walk so closely with Jesus, I suffer, right?
Yeah,
Maybe not.
yeah,
Maybe not.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, so, but Jesus choosing them, that is incredible. Um, so he
And
chose
that go
you, huh?
and that go like if you thinking of it like, okay, so thinking big picture. Excuse me, John 13, 14, 15, 16,
Mm-hmm.
17. Big picture. Um, like Jesus is showing in the feet washing that you, guys, you're okay. Now there's one that's not, and we're not going to debate about why he wasn't. Or did he have a chance? Did he? Whatever. But you you're clean. You don't need this. You just get them dang feet clean every now and then
Right.
because your dumbass is out there doing stuff that you're off the path,
Right.
right? So either way, um, the it's this building like there's this build. It's almost these steps that John 13 lays, that John 14
Mm-hmm.
lays, that 15,
Right.
16, and then you get up to 17. And it's almost like Jesus has brought those disciples up to the place of divinity, to the place
Right.
of it's like, hey guys, not that they are, but they're with him in that moment of true intimacy as he breaks open in the prayer of thanking the Father, and then it's it's like they shouldn't be there.
No.
They shouldn't be there.
Mm.
They shouldn't. They number one, they shouldn't be with him. But we can shit on ourselves all day long, as Wayne Jacobson would write so beautifully in Who
Yeah.
Wants to Go to Church
Yeah.
Anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we can shit on ourselves all day. But the truth of it is, he chose you.
Right.
It doesn't matter who you are. The truth of the matter is that Simon Peter, you are Simon son of Jonah, John 1:42.
Yeah.
You will become, you will be this rock. You
Mm-hmm.
will be Peter. And he's still not understanding that, even in this John 17. So
Mm-hmm.
the build up is, I think the build up is one, twofold, threefold, fourfold. I mean, the build up to chapter 17 is not just wow, look at what Jesus did. The build up is if Jesus did it, guess what you need to be doing as you have people that you are disciplining and training. So our actions must begin to mimic those last, those
Mm-hmm.
like as a disciple maker, as our rabbi did. Um, then you get in trouble for saying that
Mm.
because then you're acting like you're Jesus. But I mean, are we following him or not? If we say he's our rabbi or not, well, then we
Well,
need to
I mean,
start looking at it that
but
way.
what a swing, though. But what a swing. You know, some say
Oh
that
yeah,
what sparked the foot washing was they were arguing about who was the greatest, and and then they go from one night of who's going to be the greatest to, oh crap, they're arresting and killing us.
nobody wants to be the greatest.
Yeah, we don't have a chance to be the greatest because everything that
Yeah,
we were putting our bank we're banking on is shattered and gone. So it sounds a lot like things that we experience, right? We think it's
yeah.
going to go one way, and then all of a sudden it just does a 180 and goes the other direction. And it's God's plan. Does that mean you did something wrong? Does that mean you were doing the wrong thing? Doesn't mean that at all. Do you think the disciples, Jesus wasn't really scolding them about being knuckleheads. He was just modeling, showing, instructing, giving them as much information as he could before he left. And so he gets to the, what's it? You got your mouth, go. Got your mouth open.
I was just, I was gonna ask the question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking myself the question. But if I was in Jesus's position
Mm-hmm.
and I knew I was gonna die that day, that night, that next day,
Mm-hmm.
not just the death he died, but just like I knew it was over.
Mm-hmm.
When I do it like he did it, I mean, I'm just if thinking about would I have that much faith in the process of knowing that I have poured my as much as I can my time, my energy, my life into this group of men that God's given would would I even be thinking about them? Would I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I'm again, you just in the wrestle of the text,
Yeah.
it makes you understand the loftiness of what Jesus is doing. Like
Yeah.
this is next level love, discipleship, teaching. This is okay, Father. I I've done the most impossible job of anything in the world, which is not even dying, but the most impossible job is getting these 12 men, and one of them is the devil, he will say, getting these
Yeah.
12 men to the process that they're ready to go without me. And I would be, dude, I would be like making sure. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm just thinking about that probably for the first time ever in that
Uh,
way while we're recording.
well,
Like, what would I do in that, man?
yeah. Well,
Like you got to think about all the people you've invested in. I mean, who would you be making sure had the keys?
mm,
You know what I'm like I mean, and not just have the keys, but how to use the keys.
mm,
Because you can have keys and not know where the freaking door is to, you like, but you it's and you spend the rest of your life trying to open up. But I mean, again, it's like, dude, this is
that's a great question. But think about what he's about to do. He's about to earn the redemption for all humanity,
yeah, yeah.
past, present, future. And these guys are the only thing that's going to make that permeate the world.
These guys,
These guys are the only thing that's going to get it done. And you know this. And you're just it's got to be such a mixed bag of emotion, you know? Just a mixed bag of excitement, dread, because this could go either way. Can you imagine if his disciples did not carry on the disciple making process after he was gone? What would happen? We wouldn't have a Bible. We would know nothing about it. Can you imagine not knowing that there was a Savior and that he died
mm,
for the world? Can you imagine that? But that was what he was met with.
well, you think about how close. I mean, this is way off subject, but it's the way to enhance your question. Think about how close the early disciples were to creating a mega church in Jerusalem
Mm-hmm.
in the book of Acts.
Very
Think
close.
about how close the disciples were to repeating what Israel had done for generations and generations, which is hide the light from the
Mm.
Gentiles. And thank God Paul comes along. Thank God
Yeah.
Cornelius cries out for help. Because, dude, it's like we I mean, I'm not poo pooing on the work of Jesus, man,
Mm-mm.
because it just almost seems like God's got to raise up. all over text, man. It's one person to just come in and say, "Hey, you missed it. You missed it." And so these guys didn't even do it perfectly after they got the Spirit. And we just constantly want to say, well, when they got the Holy Spirit in Acts 2, it was all they did. No, dude, they struggled to bring those
Nope.
Gentiles in.
Nope.
Those Jewish Christians struggled to
Mm-hmm.
go out in the world. They didn't want to leave their comfort. They didn't want to accept the other side that didn't abide by their law and
Mm-hmm.
their custom. And so it's almost like you said, man. They look like they're losing time and time again, but dude, but for God's redemption
Right.
and his restoration, dude, they're constantly winning. And it's because they signed up from the beginning. They signed up to do this. Let's go. Follow me. Let's go. Giddy up.
So Jesus following the disciple making process. I don't know if you've seen that video come around about the purpose driven life and the destruction that came around from the book. Have you seen that video? I'll send
Mm-mm.
it to you. It's
Send it.
crazy. Yeah, where it destroyed churches.
Rick
And
Warren.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I know a
crazy.
church. I know a church it took down.
That whole book.
Yep. I do know that. It was the beginning process to everything that went
Yep,
a year or two before.
yep, yep. And
Send
I'm
that
like,
to me.
it is, and the reason I bring it up is not to poo poo on Rick Warren. I don't even know the guy, and I don't know anything about the purpose driven life or purpose driven book church books. I don't know anything about them. I never read them. Okay, somebody gave me one, but I didn't read it. I don't know why. Just didn't. All right, but it goes to that. If we're trying to build our kingdom, that's that book. If you're trying to build your kingdom, but if you're trying to build God's kingdom, He has a prescription for that, and that is make disciples of all nations.
I was going to say something else, but that's good enough.
What's that? What are you gonna say?
Get your ass out of the building.
That's loosely translated.
Yeah.
It comes out to that, right? And why are we going through this whole thing? Because we're trying to give you a flavor of the circumstances that could have. I'm not saying it was, but could have been going through Jesus' mind because he knows what's going on. He knows what's happening. He knows that he's going to be alone. So but yet he sticks to the promise of what God told him. He said, "I have built you. You are my disciple. Now you go and make disciples and trust the process." And so now Jesus stops on the edge of the Kidron Valley. And this is one of my favorite things to make people do. It's the most uncomfortable thing that I've ever made people do. And that is pray with your eyes lifted up toward the heavens. Have you ever made people do that?
I mean, no, but that sounds like something I would enjoy doing, making
It's
people
it
uncomfortable.
is it is the most uncomfortable. However long the prayer lasts, 1-2 minutes.
Yeah.
Usually a prayer don't last more than a minute. Usually, but it is the most uncomfortable minute of your life because everybody is standing there with their eyes open to the roof. Yeah, it's called.
Oh, in
Yeah,
a
it's
public, you talk
yeah.
about in a
Praying
public
open
setting.
faced. I call it praying open faced. You're lifting. We bow our head and close our eyes in reverence, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't give
Yeah,
two.
yeah.
I don't give two farts about that. But but just try to try in a group setting. Say, okay, we're going to pray like Jesus did in John 17, and that is we're going to open our face
Yeah,
up and
yeah.
we're going to look into the
Looking at
heavens
the
just like
skies.
Jesus did and just look
Yeah,
up and start praying. And it is the most I still get Jason's wife still reminds me of that because she was so uncomfortable.
Look at Deborah now.
Yeah, it's so funny, but try
Yeah,
it. Try it.
I can see that.
But
Yeah,
even do it yourself. Do it
yeah,
yourself. Because
yeah,
what is that? What does that posture do? Right? There's different postures of prayer. Right? There's bowing your head, closing your eyes. There's on your knees. Right? Kneeling. That changes the posture of your prayer. Um, but this definitely will change your prayer. Um,
yeah.
I used to pray. I used to
Good.
pray driving. Out loud, and sometimes it was a me scolding God for what He was doing. Right? I was just pissed. I was just pissed off, and God, I'm like, God, I don't get it. I don't know what you're doing.
Didn't mean it, God. I
This
didn't
doesn't
mean
make sense. This doesn't. I
it.
trust you, and I know you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and it's gonna work out like you want it to be. But this is so frustrating. I don't get it. I want to kill them people.
Uh,
Some people are probably going like, "Oh
the
my
raw
gosh,
prayers.
you're praying like that? What what,
Yeah,
what kind of
yeah.
prayers?
The I call those
Raw, yeah,
the raw. That's that Rob Bell. He talks about that. He says that's the kind of praying when you stick your fingers in your chest cavity and you rip your chest cavity open
yeah,
and you just let the blah come out.
yeah.
That's not what he's doing in 17.
No,
Obviously, that's
no,
not
no.
a. It's so you go back. You bring up a point. I've never really. I've heard you talk about the open face prayer, but I've never really thought about the different posture according to where he's at here.
Hmm.
Like there,
Yeah,
it's not a. It's almost.
it's not an
What would you
agony.
say that?
It,
What would that posture be to you? Like, what do you see that?
that is a an intimate, um, uh, heartfelt, heartfelt in a quiet passion. It's like somebody staring you in the face intently as they calmly tell you about their passion.
Mm,
It's a it's intense without being outrageous.
yeah.
You know, there's some guys that'll talk to you, and I know you've had this conversation with a friend of yours, or maybe we've had this conversation before. This type of conversation where we're just kind of talking back and forth, not really looking at each other, but then there's some point you stop and you look directly at them intensely,
Mm,
eyebrows raised maybe, and it's just a real quiet listen. I'm gonna shoot you some straight truth right here. I want to tell
yeah.
you something
Yeah.
really out at the heart, and that's I think that's where Jesus. I think that's the posture that Jesus is taking, is him and the Father. It's like these guys, not they're there, and I think Jesus does it so they can hear what he's saying, obviously. But I think he it's like they don't really. I want them to hear this, but it doesn't matter that they're here right now. You, Father, we need to have a little talk. This kind of begins that uh, what he's going about to do in the garden,
Mm, yeah.
which is so cool because of the symbolism of it too. Because he stops right before the Kidron Valley, and the Kidron Valley is always a picture of judgment. All right, that's where the nations of the world are going to be judged. It's called the Kidron Valley, but it's also the Valley of Jehoshaphat, and Jehoshaphat means
Mm,
Jehovah's judge. So
mm,
that's where the nations of the world are going to be judged. Like, bananas. So Jesus is going to walk through this valley of judgment all the way to the other side. I love the picture. I'm
yeah.
standing where I am, going through judgment, and I'm going to come out on the other side where I commune with you, because that's what he does in the garden of Gethsemane. He communes with the Father. Now, obviously, the agony is not what he's doing now, but it's just a great picture of where he was, where he's going to go through, and where he ends up. So,
That's good. That
yeah,
sounds like Ray Vanderlaan stuff right there.
uh, yeah. Well, uh, Blind Hog.
Finding yeah, blind hog finding a squirrel. That needs to be our new saying. We're like a blind hog finding a squirrel.
I haven't heard that. Thank you, thank you. That was good. That actually sounds. Yeah,
That
love.
sounds better.
I love my wife. I love my wife, but she can twist around a saying like that, and it's like it sounds exactly like her. A blind off. Okay, good chuckle. Um, okay, so Jesus lives his eyes in heaven, and he starts off with that intimate Father. Um, I can remember the first time I ever heard somebody address God as Father in a prayer, and not just flippantly, but in a very intimate. You could hear it in their voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And he said, and it was like, I don't know if I can duplicate it, but it was just like my Father, and that's where he started the prayer. And I just remember going, wow, because it was you could hear it in their voice. And I almost picture Jesus that the same way, Father, not in a
Intimate.
yeah, very very intimate, very purposeful. Um, what's other adjectives? I don't know.
Interestingly enough, on a side note, I've never put these two together. I don't know if it's the only other place, but when Jesus is raising Lazarus
Mm-hmm.
in 1141, Jesus raised his eyes and said, Father. So I've never seen the connection between those two passages, but he raises his eyes. Again, the open face
Mm-hmm.
prayer, raised his eyes just like he did here, and he says, Father, I thank thee. There's
Oh,
I
that's
might
interesting.
have
I never seen that either.
I think I just opened a can, but there's got to be a connection there. There's got to be just enough of a why would he do this again? And are these the only two times in Scripture? I mean, there's let's
Interesting.
see, John 7:39 and 13:3 are some other references, but 13:3, Jesus knowing that the Father had given him all things, that's not a prayer. And then 7 referenced here is 7:39. I don't think that's a direct prayer based on what the context of that is.
Oh, it is referenced
But
there.
yeah, but this he spoke of the Spirit whom he believed in. No. So I think those are the only two times, at least in the book of John, maybe in the whole entirety of the Gospels, that Jesus looks up
Mm.
and says, "Father."
Mm. That's
What
interesting.
would be what would be the connection there?
Just the intimacy of the only thing I can think of that's maybe wrong is just the intimacy of what's about to happen for both parties. You know the 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 involvement that God is
Death
going
to
to have.
come.
Huh?
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm just saying death. It seems to be the
Yeah.
Death had come to Lazarus. Death was coming for Jesus.
And the only one that's going to be able to do that's the Father, right? Because
Mm,
you
mm,
know Jesus being stone cold dead in the grave, something's got to happen outside of him,
mm.
right?
Yeah.
It's got to come from the Father. So maybe that's a connection. I don't know. That's good. That's a
Either
good point.
way,
But he says the Father, the hour has come. No, it's come and it still is. And then he says, glorify thy Son. Now, how is he going to glorify him? He's going to take him through hell first. See, we all want the glory. We all want the good result at the end, but we don't want to go through what it's about to do.
yeah, that ain't the yippee skippy moment. That's not the. That's not the
it, it,
moment of.
it kind of go back to what we were talking about prior to our recording. Um, a lot of people misunderstand this to be, um, oh, I'm suffering because of, I'm doing such a great job. No, that's not what that. A lot of times we suffer because we're just stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
We
I know.
suffer.
I know what you're getting at. I
Yeah,
know what you're getting
yeah. We oh, I guess I'm just being tested by the Lord. No, it's because you don't understand physics.
at.
It's because you don't understand economics. That's why you're suffering. You don't know good decision if it knocked you inside the head. That's why
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
suffering. All right, enough of that.
Well, and again, the text just real quick, rain falls on the just and the unjust.
yes.
Um, Again, Matthew. That's. I just looked that up, and not that it brilliantly came upon my my brain, but again, it's like life happens, man.
Mm-hmm.
You can be living, you can be justified or unjust, and life happens, rain happens, and I mean, yeah, I think the misconception of Christianity, going back to a purpose-driven life,
Mm-hmm.
going back to even our story at hand, is okay. Well, did they really know the glory? How Jesus was going to get this glory? Like, did the disciples really know what this glory was going to look like, other than their own imagination of, okay, well, what's this kingdom we're building? Oh yeah, we know we're going to love God, we're going to love others, but how's Jesus going to get this glory? I mean, how are we going to get him on this throne?
Right.
Like, what's this going to? We're going to have to fight, or we going?
Right.
Well, Peter pulls a sword out. I mean, obviously he again.
It's not a pat on the back glory. It's not a clap glory. It's a magnify. It's a draw attention to. It is to make prominent, right? It's to put him up on a pedestal, not to make him feel good, but so that all can see, right? So how is he going to do that? Well, he's got to take him through the brutality of the next 24 hours before he can get him brutality of the next 24 hours, 3 days, 3 nights tucked away before he can be magnified or glorified or brought up to that place where God the Father needs him to be. Is that a good stopping point?
No. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm just looking at the
So
time.
I'm gonna be I'm gonna be going back wrestling with that John 11:41 text. I'm gonna dig on that one. I'm gonna pull that one a little, see
All
where
right.
it comes, see what comes of it. But yeah,
So
that's good, man.
we'll pick back up.
So we did get to verse one.
Hey, yeah.
We did get to verse one.
I knew I was gonna get lost in the intro though, because I just the whole
That's
build up,
good.
trying to get the flavor, and so the good a good ending is understand. You, you know, if you want to be a part of if you want to be a part of the kingdom that makes a difference, how's that? Then you have to understand the mindset you must have, the relationship you must have with the Father, and understand that not by because of your own stupid choices, but because God is putting you through certain things to glorify you, magnify you, not for you, so that the gospel, the the truth can permeate the world. That is that's huge.
Yeah. Hmm.
All right, I'll give you last word, last thought.
Giddy up.
Giddy
Last
up.
thought. Giddy up. Giddy up. Giddy up. Be like a pig looking for a squirrel in the woods.
You just had to
Be
get that
like
in
a
one more time.
be like a hog looking. Be like a blind hog looking for a squirrel.
Which is better than a blind squirrel finding a hog.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Money's on the hog.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, brother.
That's good, man.
So,
See you.